special person today that offers a special service. You know, of all the disabilities that are around, you know, not having the use of your sight, I can't even imagine. And so thank God for people like Jay and his organization, Pilot Dogs. Pilot Dogs has been under the guidance of the Gray family since 1950. Jay's dad served as the first executive director starting in 1950, and Jay took on that role in 1992. He's been with Pilot Dogs since 1980. He's a Bexley grad, he's a Columbus native, and he's a proud grandfather of 5. And if you've worked downtown, you've probably seen his dogs walking amongst the hustle and bustle of the city, and adapting and acclimating the dogs to our human world, which I can't imagine would have to be a crazy task. But so if you would, without any further ado, please join me in giving Jay a warm Rotary welcome. And if he tells you to lay down and roll over, I'd listen, because he's pretty good at that.
Thank you. It's a great and an honor to be here with all of you. It's my buddy here is getting a little antsy. He's been sitting and the clapping, getting up and down, and all excited. But this is a black Labrador Retriever. Like Jim said, we've been in existence since 1950 as a nonprofit organization. We did place dogs in 1947 by Stanley Dorn, but he was charging students, the blind people, $800 a dog at that time. Charlie Medic came along. He's an old car dealer at that time. Well, he wasn't at the time, but he is now. Said, you know, I have a nephew, I want to get involved. He got involved because we took the blind students to his new showroom and showing the students the new models. They were running their fingers down it. They liked to smell the new leather and things. He came out and said, we just polished those cars. What are you doing? And Stanley Dorn explained to him what they were doing, and he says, you know, I have a nephew that's blind, I want to help. And he became a great past president for 8 years to get us through a lot of difficult times. But in 1950, he decided this service should be given away at no charge to the blind people at all. So in 1950, we bought a property right here on town in Grub Street, a little home. And you know, Franklinton's gone through some difficult times. We've been there. I've been there really since I was 12 years old, cleaning. Come here. Excuse me, sit. Cleaning kennels and things around, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, but Dad said, you go away to college, get a job, and then we'll talk later. Well, I worked for Ford Motor Company for 4 years and realized I didn't want to do that anymore. Fortunately, came back in 1980 and took over, helped him, and worked to the point where something that I really wanted to do, work with people, see their lives change and carry on. It's so nice to see. I have the advantage. I see them come to us from all over the United States. We just got a gentleman in last night at 5, or this morning at 7:30 from Israel. And they're shy, they're scared to death, and they're walking around a new building that they've never been in before. They're scared. And, you know, we walk around, can we help you? Well, I lost my bedroom, where is it? And we try to direct them to it. And then about the 4th week, we know we've made contact, and they're walking around. We go, can we help you? And he said, get away, I can do it myself. And that's the step that they've developed confidence to be able to go. And that's what we want to see, to build the confidence and be able to take on life the way they do. You know, you hear them talking, you know, I can't wait to get home because I can walk on the nature trail by myself. I don't have to wait for my kids. I don't have to wait for my husband. Some of the things work real well that way, and that's neat to hear. We're one of 13 schools in the United States. We only deal with guide dogs for the blind. We do have a hearing dog program. We do train dogs for the hearing impaired. We only do about 10 of those individuals. The blind students, we do about 150 a year. We ask them to come to live with us. We pay their transportation, room, and board, and they stay with us for the 4 weeks if they've never had a dog before. Retrainees, some of this had a guide dog before, and they know it all, and they tell you they know it all. And that's the problem. We've got a lot of our retrainees. These dogs only last about 8 years and 8 months. So we rotate. We've had students come through to us 6, 7 times. And it's an unfortunate thing. We deal a lot with the students of losing their dogs. We mentor them, trying to talk them through it. The veterinarians, we ask for their help. because again, some of the dogs that get so old, so sick, they need to be put to sleep because it's just not humane. They call us and we tell them we've got to encourage them to do that because we don't want the dog to suffer. And the biggest thing, they've been in your life for 8 years, they've been a buddy, do them a favor. And that's what they want to hear, the students, I should say. And they're able to do it and move on. A lot of students don't want to hear from us again for a while, and that's fine. We just say, well, our service is available for you. And about 6 months later, they'll call, say, I can't handle this cane. I'm just running into too many things. It's time for me to get my dog. So that's when we bring them back in and do the dog. And that's a 2-week course. And that's a marriage that's been developing over 8 years. Well, my old dog never did that. Well, your old dog did do that because we keep a file on everything. Every phone call, we'll call you, well, Jim, you called the second day you were home, said the dog chewed your shoes, your slippers. You remember that? Oh, gosh, yes, I do. Now, it's all coming back now. After 8 years, you only think of the good stuff. But it's fun to watch them develop and grow, as I said. We're the only school that uses 7 different breeds. We've got our Labrador Retriever. He's behind me somewhere. And they've got 3 different colors, black, yellow, and the chocolate. We've got the Golden Retrievers. We've got the Boxers, Dobermans, the Vishulas. And we introduced about 1992 the standard Poodle. A great dog, non-shedding. It's introducing people with allergies that they can have a guide dog without having problems with allergies, a loved one having allergies. We've had students go home with dogs, they'll call and say, I was in bed, my husband was at work and came home, the dog started barking and biting at him. And I'm always confused. I said, are you complaining or are you proud of that? So those are the things you got to figure out over the phone. But it's usually just something they're not used to. And it's just trying to get them used to it and work them through it. These dogs are just dogs. We spent 6 months with these dogs to become guide dogs. This guy is certified. His name is Freedom. He, I believe, was in a prison raise. We have 125 puppies being raised for us during the years. And we're always rotating them in. We get them out for about 16 months, 16 months, bring them back in and hope they take another puppy for us because we need to know that next year we got some more puppies coming in. Come here. So we have about 50 of them in prisons, 4 facilities. Pickaway, Franklin. There's one up in Cleveland and one over in Dayton, and they've done a great job. We've never had a problem with it. Do the inmates abuse them or anything? No, they don't. Matter of fact, we can't get them to correct the dog. Because if they correct the dog too hard, another inmate's going to step in. You're being mean to the dog. So the dogs are great. They've been socialized with everybody. They're with somebody 24/7. That's exactly what we're looking for in a guide dog. Because, again, the harness work is very important, the safety issues, but it's only 20% of this dog's life. The other 80% is being a pet, and that's like being a function like this. Most of the people's work, they've got to have the dog behave, can't be tugging on them, and not chewing things or relieving themselves wrong. So that's the big part, and the inmates do a great job that way, and we appreciate it. So he's a pound puppy, we call him, prison furlough, get them out. And we have a volunteer program that pull those puppies out of the kennel or out of the prison and take them over to Schiller Park and walk them, expose them a little bit to kids, bicycles, other dogs. And the success rate has turned around completely. We get about 8 out of 10 dogs make guide work. We have a kennel of about 125 dogs, and we hope to add to it. And because the need's there. We have over we've placed 7,000 dogs over the time period. We have over 850 active guide dog units. That's out throughout the United States. Out of the 150, thought I heard chewing, 150, 50 of them come from the Ohio area, and then the other 33 different parts of the state. So, are we competitive? Yes, we are. We're going for the blind person that we want to help and assist the best we can. And that's meaning going to New York, California, where the other schools are, we will do that. And it's a great success that way. I think, are there questions that I can answer? I know I've time limit here. Yes, ma'am.
What do you do with the dogs that flunk out?
There's no flunkies. No flunkies. Career changes. Dogs that don't make our grade, they go back to the breeder is the first choice. Raiser gets the second choice, and then they go out to the general public. We've had, unfortunately, people on the list for almost 2 years waiting for dogs. And it just, yes, ma'am.
How are you compensated?
How are we? We go out and beg and borrow. We've got the Lions groups that make up about 20% of our budget, and then we've got a membership drive that we go out and raise money that way. We get surprises all. Columbus has been a great city for pilot dogs. Very giving, very conscious of it, and very helpful. So it's a yearly budget that we keep continuing to add to. Yes, ma'am.
I've heard from a blind couple that their concern with a guide dog is how are we going to care for the dog or know when the dog needs to be cared for by a veterinarian? Do you supply any sort of assistance in that way, or how do you help the student care for the dog over time?
Again, we teach them from day one how to groom it, bathe it, and work it through that way. We've established a plan through our alumni people that raise money for us and donate back. We have a women's board do the same thing, and we designated those funds to support the students, graduate students that have a paid invoice up to $200 a year. It's a commitment that they've got to take on. The service is free, so we don't want to give a dog and then have to end up paying for everything. So they've got to realize there is, and that's one of the downfalls of the poodles, because they've got to have grooming every about 3 months. But they're nice dogs. So we do help when we can. Yes, sir.
Maybe I missed it, but did you mention German Shepherds?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 is, how do you match the dogs with the student? You've got 7 different breeds. So
Right.
how do you know what breed is going to work with
It's one of the easy way to start out. It's who drives a Ford, who drives a Chevy. It's a preference. So the students have an option to put down the breed of selection they want. Now, what I do, they've got an application they've got to fill out. They've got to go to a physical eye chart, so we know what we're dealing with. And again, do they work? You know, if they got a Doberman, they ask for a Doberman, and they don't work, we're going to talk against it at that point, because the dog needs to get out and work. The Poodle's the same way. The Labs will adjust to the lifestyle of people, and this dog here probably could go with probably 90% of these people here in this room because of the temperament, speed, and things. But once we rely on the trainer, we sit down, we go through the application process with the trainer in charge that's got the 10 dogs ready to go, and he'll evaluate. And I say, I've got a gentleman here, 6'2". He works at the bank. He keeps moving. He said, and he wants a lab because that's not a problem. Or I want a Doberman. You know, I've got a Doberman can handle that. Or an individual, we get dogs sometimes that small cities. You know, the trainers are right. Handles Columbus okay, but he needs a lot of encouragement. So a smaller town would be better. So we do that. Once we call the student in, and they're with us for 3 days without a dog. And without a dog, we're testing them again. It's surprising, even on a medical, how weight changes, you know, especially in the women's weight, you know. I'm only 98 pounds. They come in, you're 130. Sorry, ladies, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have brought the age is with the men. How's that sound? But the age we can figure out because I need the exact age to fly them in. Yes, sir.
What is a Vizsla?
Vizsla is a Hungarian bird dog, and I don't think they've been domesticated enough. They're a challenge. It's a long-haired, long-eared, highly hunting dog, and they will hunt, and they still hunt. And students that get them like them because they're usually 45 pounds, they're lighter weight, and not as strong as these guys, Labs, that are running about 70 pounds. But the problem is they're still hunters, as I said. They can go by a park, and they'll call and say, I can't get by this area. Well, tell me, where are you? Well, I go by my park. Are there squirrels and birds? Yeah. Well, just correct the dog and give him a forward command because he's pointing. And the trainers do a good job, but they can see what's coming on and encourage them. The blind person has to learn to keep that going, too. Yes, sir.
Do you have veterinarians or vet techs on staff?
We have vet techs right now. We will hope we're going to add a new kennel. We're going to close that kennel Alpha 71 and bring it in right next door to us. So we're going to have one campus hall and everything, and we're going to probably hire a vet at that time. But we have 45 veterinarians that volunteer their service right now, and that's probably close to $300,000 savings a year for us. So that they do all our surgeries, general exams, and I think what they really like is they come in and talk to our students. And they'll talk to them and tell them they've heard it all 4 weeks because the trainer tells them, but now it's official. The veterinarian has told them, you need heartworm, you need to do fecal flotations. The dog's going to chew, it's going to itch. So, they have been a big help. OSU does about 90 surgeries for us a year at no cost, so that's exciting. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you get your dogs from?
Most of our dogs are from our own breeding program. We have puppy raisers, we have all mother dog holders, in which my family is one. We breed the dog when the puppies are whelped, and at 6 weeks of age, we bring them back to pilot dogs, and then they're passed out from there. So we've got about 8 mother dogs out being bred for us and having great success that way. Nothing guaranteed, but we know we got mom and dad. We know we're starting with a pretty positive pair right now. But like I said, it depends on how they're raised, how they're exposed, because the raisers do a great job that way. They've got to get them out, walk them. We encourage them to take, if they, can you have another dog? We certainly can. But we want to take them to soccer matches. We want to see them, teach them how to behave and work. So it makes our job easier, Obedience is encouraged, but again, that's the big thing. These dogs come to us, We ask them to keep them off beds, we know they're ending up in beds, they're eating people food, but then the trainers do a great job straightening that out with them. And it works well. This guy even did a little nose search up there, so I think he thinks it's got a dinner table here. But again, our unit cost, what it costs us to do this program from the puppyhood to graduation is $10,000. Yes, sir.
If I'm a student with a dog and I'm at the Ohio State House and I want to walk up North High Street to the convention center, do I know the route and I somehow tell the dog, or does the dog know the route, or are we?
No, you better know the route. You do know it, and it's going to come simple commands. It's from one, you're coming out, turn right, you want to give the dog a right command. He works straight up to down right across Broad Street. Now it's your decision. His job's over at that point. Now the dog's waiting, where do you want me to go next? And you go forward command or right. Now we are adding a new program. It's Trekker Breeze, it's called. And it's a talking GPS unit for the blind. And we've got 25 of them placed already, and we just can't keep them. It pinpoints everything, and they can put it in there at that point. They can put in the State House, and it'll tell them so-and-so High Street. And they'll push the button, and it'll tell them, they'll start here and work them down. And okay, I'm walking along, I trip over a crack in the walk. You stop, back up, crack in the walk. So next time I cross that, you're coming to the crack in the walk. So they pick up their feet. And what they like the most about it is they fall down, hurt themselves, they can push a button and it'll locate them, call 911 and locate it right away, pinpoint right where they're at for safety issue. And the dog is not for everybody. There's about 130 million blind people there, they say, and we don't know for sure because of the degree of blindness, how the IRS is doing it, but not everybody likes dogs, and believe it or not, I won't ask you in the room who doesn't like dogs, I won't embarrass you, but there are people that don't like dogs. There are a lot of important things. I consider it a Cadillac to the cane. The cane is great. Now, how many people walked up with me and said, nice looking dog? And what you've done is open a world for a blind person. Oh, I didn't know you were there. Hi, how are you? Thank you. My dog is beautiful. And one blind person, they never told me that about my cane. And you see somebody standing there on the corner with a cane, how many times have you walked by him without saying anything? With a dog, it does add companionship. And notice, right, that, oh my gosh, that's a beautiful dog. And then can you help me? I'm on Broad Street, aren't I? No, you're on High Street. You're facing the wrong way. And it helps that way. Good communication. Yes, ma'am.
How do volunteers work with you? What do they do for you?
I'm sorry.
Volunteers, what do they do for you?
Right now, we've got the puppy program, but the volunteers on Tuesdays and Wednesdays take our prison puppies out and walk around for an hour with the puppies over in Sheila Park. And exposing them, we teach them obedience, how to handle the dogs. We don't want them running loose all over the city, because that's a valuable animal for us. To raise a puppy, it's costing us about $800 a puppy, because we pay all that cost to raise a puppy. Yes, sir.
This is probably a stupid question, but I'm entitled to ask it. I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
Is your funding sufficient to provide dogs for the applicants that you have? Or are you turning people away? Or what's the status of?
Right, we're staying hand in hand with everything asked. The biggest problem we've got is the breed preferences. We could probably use about a dozen poodles and a dozen Dobermans. But again, we don't want too many of those breeds because we don't want to, there's some people who can't handle a Doberman. I had a little lady out of Detroit cause I have to have a Doberman on her application. She was on the waiting list for about 6 months. She calls and says, where do I stand on the application procedure? And I said, well, listen, I don't think I can get you a Doberman because you're only 5'10", you're 90-some years old, 67 years old. Oh, I don't want a Doberman. My son filled that out. And found out later, she had 5 grandchildren, and putting a Doberman in that environment would have been a disaster. So that's the biggest delay, but money keeps steady. Unfortunately, after 60 years, 65 years, matter of fact, we make a lot of friends, we lose a lot of friends, and a lot of people do leave us in their estates, and we're able to keep things going.
Do you have opportunities for teenage volunteers? I have a son who would love to volunteer, but do they have to be 18 or can?
No, it's limited right now because we've got 12 people that do it right now, but in the summer, when we move our building over where we want to move it, we will have more opportunities in the future.
But can you take teenagers or they have to be adults?
No, we get the parents to sign off, and we're okay. We have them. So, great. Yes.
What is your annual budget?
Our annual budget is about $2 million a year. And my board of directors are looking at me over here, and you didn't tell me that. But again, the unit cost is $10,000, as I said. And you think of what we're doing with it, it's great. But the closest school that meets that is $45,000. So we feel we're doing some things right, very competitive. No, you can't ask Ed.
I want to know a little bit more about your new build plans.
Fortunately, we're going to add about 25,000 square feet next door to our facility. Our theme is 4 paws, 2 feet, 1 team, and 1 campus. We're the only school in the United States that will be able to claim that we can walk out our door and walk downtown. It's going to eliminate so many things for us. It's going to be a healthier dog. We can eliminate a dog, or a truck, not eliminate a dog, I'm sorry. Eliminate a vehicle. We're all walking distance of each other. We're going to have a vet on staff. We can do the surgeries, general exams right there. It's going to be a little safer. We have a kennel facility that's open air, we call it. They can run in and out. Well, it took us all winter to clean out the dogs from coccidia, it's called. It's a bird-transmitted parasite. They just told me last week we got coccidia again because the doors are open, the birds are flying around, they relieve themselves, and the dogs step in it. And so now we've got coccidia where you've got to get it cleared up and go. And it's nothing serious, just loose stool and things like that. The healthy, no problems with the dog. But we're hoping to add 160 dogs in the area and go from there.
How many such schools are there in the country, and how many are in Ohio?
We're the only guide dog school in Ohio. There's 13 total. There's 3 over in New York, 1 in Michigan, 1 down south in Florida, and the rest over in the west coast of California and things like that. Oh, I'm getting the hook here. So we're excited. We met last week with all the schools. We call it our United States Council of Guide Dog Schools, and we share a lot of information about our industry, tracker breeds. We're going to introduce next year or this year, O&M specialists. We got a trainer that went and got his master's degree, and what that's going to do, introduce somebody that's not quite capable of traveling by himself yet, and teach him the cane travel. And that's the easy way to begin. If they want to get a dog later, great. If not, no big deal. But Central Ohio Vision Center closed, and that's taken away that part of Columbus. They've got to end up going to Cincinnati or Cleveland, so we're trying to fill the void. That's one of the things some schools demand that you have orientation mobility. We do not, because we think the dog makes a bigger difference. But at least a lot of students want it. We're going to honor it and try to take them in and help teach them how to travel with a cane and living school. Yes, sir.
If somebody is walking with a dog as a member of the public, what are we allowed to do or not allowed to do with that dog?
If you see a harness on the dog, you should never approach it or talk to it. You should talk to the individual. You shouldn't pet the dog because, again, the blind person doesn't see what's going on. The dog's friendly, outgoing. So that's the big thing. If the harness is off, it's a pet. And anything, and a lot of times a person stops and they're sitting and waiting for something. You approach them, say, "You got a beautiful dog. Do you mind if I pet it?" Don't take offense if they say, "No, please don't touch." But yeah, go ahead and pet. And that's the big thing. If it's kept under control, it's not a real major problem. But some of these dogs, he's been up and down. He's getting tired of hearing me talk, so he's sleeping. But they're up and down, and that just, and not everybody likes dogs. They don't like to be licked and carried on. So that's always what we're trying to think of, be conscious of the public. Good.
Please remember there's no meeting next week. Enjoy the Memorial Day. And the week after, on June 1st, Paul Sutter will join us to speak about outreaching for the stars. Thank you. And the meeting is adjourned.